Hi everyone, in this video I'm continuing to work through question 11 part C of the 2020 Extension 1 trial exam from James Ruse. So it's a 3-part question and I've already worked through part 1 and 2 in prior videos, so take a look at those if you haven't already. This part 3 actually has 2 subparts to it, so I might just work through each of those subparts in separate videos, just in case you're only really needing help with one of them, so you can go straight to the bits that you're interested in. So part 3 starts by saying the function f is defined by f of theta equals 1 minus 3 cos 2 theta minus 4 sine 2 theta, for theta being real and also being between 0 and pi. So part alpha, the first subpart, says to state the range of f. So yeah, let's take a look. So whilst it might seem like we're kind of moving on to something totally new, I think often with questions that have subparts, we want to find the linkages between what we've already done and what we're being asked to do now. And I think the key link is that whilst we've got 1 minus 3 cos 2 theta minus 4 sin 2 theta, and whilst we've got 2 theta instead of theta, in essence we can do some very minor manipulations to f theta to actually get it into a form that is essentially this expression from part 1. Which means, once again, we can use the result from part 1 to see how it can help us. So what I might do is I might just start by saying f of theta is equal to 1 minus, and I'll factor out this minus so that we get 3 cos 2 theta plus 4 sine 2 theta. And hopefully you can see very clearly that is the expression that we had from part 1, except it's just 2 theta instead of theta, but that doesn't really matter. The result that we showed is still valid from part 1. We just need to make sure wherever we had theta, we write 2 theta. So we can say this is equal to 1 minus, and over in part 1, we got this 5 cos theta minus alpha, this inverse cos of 3 on 5, that's alpha. So we just need to write that as 5 cos 2 theta minus alpha. And once again, I'll just leave alpha as alpha, and we can throw it into our calculator whenever we need to. So this would be 1 minus 5 cos 2 theta minus alpha. And so I'll just note that's from part 1. And at this point, I think we can make use of what we know about, again, about the cosine curve in general to start to develop a range. So we can say that we know that if we hone in on just the cosine, the cos 2 theta minus alpha, we know that's going to be between -1 and 1, because the cos curve oscillates between -1 and 1. So we can say -1 will be less than or equal to this cos of 2 theta minus alpha, which itself will be less than or equal to 1. And so now if we can simply do some manipulations to get f of theta being in the middle of this inequality, we'll in effect have our range for f. So we just need to be careful, but I think the first thing to do is to multiply by 5, since we've got 5 cos 2 theta minus alpha. So if I multiply everything by 5, we'll get -5 less than or equal to 5 cos 2 theta minus alpha, which is less than or equal to 5. And then the next step is to note that it's actually -5 cos 2 theta minus alpha. So if I multiply everything by -1, I just need to remember to reverse the signs. So we'll have -5 times -1 is 5, which will be greater than or equal to -5 cos 2 theta minus alpha, which would be greater than or equal to 5 times -1, or -5. And from here, it's actually 1 minus 5 cos 2 theta minus alpha, so there's a +1 here that we need to add in. So if I'm going to add 1 to the middle, I need to add 1 to either side of the inequality. So 5 plus 1 is 6, which will be greater than or equal to 1 minus 5 cos 2 theta minus alpha, which is greater than or equal to -5 plus 1 would be -4. And you might be able to jump straight from here to here all in one step, but I've broken it out into lots of little steps just because it's so easy to make mistakes with the direction of our inequality or where the negatives are meant to be. So I think it's always better to be safe and just break things up into lots of little steps. So here at this point, because we've got f theta in the middle, we can now say, we can make our conclusion, therefore the range of f is, and I might just write this from the smallest to the largest, so we'll start with -4, which will be less than or equal to our f theta, which will be less than or equal to 6. And I think that's it for that question. So it's really, again, making use of what we showed in part 1. And I guess to do that, you had to see the link with f theta and kind of not be put off by the fact we've got 2 theta instead of just theta. So from there, it was kind of just being careful with the inequalities, but again, not too burdensome. Pretty straightforward once you know what you have to do. So hopefully that's made sense. So what I'll do in the next video is I'll work through the second subpart, part beta of this question. All right, tick boom.